Hi all you cool cats and kittens, and welcome to this video on the Leo full moon and what it means for your zodiac sign 28th of January 2021. Hi everyone and welcome back to Saturn Secrets. This video is on the full moon in Leo, 9 degrees of Leo on the 28th of January 2021, and what you can expect for your zodiac sign, as well as the general energies of this full moon. So if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, please give it a comment, and subscribe for more updates on the new moon and full moon and what you can expect for your zodiac sign each month. So this full moon is happening at 9 degrees of Leo, and it is opposite the sun in Aquarius. This full moon is also squaring Mars, and it is also opposite Jupiter. So there's a T-square going on with this full moon that invites in with the fixed energy, eruption, disruption, change, frustration, and a little bit of agitation. However, with all these squares and oppositions, there is always room for growth. Every full moon presents an opposition of a particular axis, and the axis that is exaggerated at this full moon is the axis between Aquarius and Leo, and this is actually referred to by some as the axis of ego. The reason being that Leo and Aquarius are both signs that are associated in different ways with ego. Leo is about having a big heart-spaced energy, and Aquarius is about having a big mind-set energy. And so when these two come into opposition, there's a fascination, but there's also a little bit of agitation and frustration. With any fixed sign opposition, we are being asked what our relationship is with change. This particular axis represents loving who we are from that heart-spaced energy, while also inviting change from the future with that Aquarian space energy. This full moon is also square Mars in Taurus, and it is opposite Jupiter in Aquarius. So this energy is bringing up with it a lot of intense feelings and emotions, as any full moon does, but this time it is surrounding anger, frustration, where we feel a little bit stuck, where we feel a little bit pressured to be somebody else. And a lot of this energy coming to the fore can feel very exaggerated thanks to Jupiter. However, because it is a Leo full moon and it's occurring in the fixed signs, it is a lot to do with loving who you are while also being open to change. The reason that frustrations and blockages may come up around this time is likely because you are reacting through a space of ego rather than the heart. And this full moon is inviting you to invite in more love and more love-centered energy, leading from the heart, leading from connection rather than from the ego, because the ego is what keeps us separated. So you may be wondering, what is ego? Because in all things spiritual and all things psychological, ego is quite an elusive concept. It is something that we associate with defensiveness. It's a word that can actually make us really very defensive, which is ironic when you begin to explore and understand what it is about. The ego is to do with, in psychology, it's to do with your self-identity, who you believe yourself to be, what terms, what titles you associate yourself with, and how you define yourself, and perhaps even how you perceive that others would define you. In spirituality, however, the ego is defined as a veil of personality, which keeps you separate from having a universal experience and existence. So in both examples, ego actually keeps us separate from others. How you choose to identify yourself, what label you smack on yourself, what label you believe society has put on you can actually keep you more separate from other people. It can keep you separate from connections, which is why the Aquarian Leo axis is such an amazing energy to understand where your ego blocks are, where your identity is actually preventing you from connection in your life, be it in love, family, friendship, or even in your career. This is a wonderful full moon to feel what comes up and understand that maybe It's coming from an identity wound or belief that is actually separating you from connection, it's separating you from understanding, and it's separating you from love. So this full moon in Leo is squaring off Mars, and it is opposite Jupiter. All the while the Sun is conjunct Jupiter, which is actually a very lucky, auspicious energy. Because of the full moon's energy, it may show you where exactly you are holding back or are disconnecting from certain people in your life on a heart-based energy, as well as the collective and as well as your groups, communities, friendships, etc. Because Jupiter in Aquarius is expansive. It is all about mankind, the greater good, humanity. And the full moon opposite this is showing us where there is some separation there, where people have become more divided, where people have become more based in ego and their own personal identity, and they can't see that the differences are actually okay. The reason in astrology that opposite signs exist is because there is a fundamental balance that comes from these energies. Yes, there can be a lot of conflict and confusion, particularly in earlier life between opposite signs, and it's because our ego, our identity, finds it almost threatening to see an opposite point of view. The Leo full moon is very heart-centered, very loving, and wants to be adored. Aquarius energy is a little bit more detached, but it very much sees outside of itself and sees into humanity and what the collective wants. It's also more focused on the future. Now, because of the opposite energies with Jupiter, it may feel like these energies are amplified and exaggerated. People may take things more personally. You might find yourself feeling more aggressive due to the fact that the full moon is also squaring Mars. And this really is a tense energy because a lot of pent-up anger, a lot of pent-up frustration can come bursting to the surface. And because it's a Leo full moon, it can feel a little bit dramatic. It can feel a little bit amplified. And especially when you throw Jupiter in the mix, these energies can feel very overwhelming. With every full moon, there is a remedy. And this full moon is very much about getting in touch with your heart space, your heart chakra, feeling a vibration in your heart space that allows you to feel safe and it allows you to feel connected rather than safe in an ego-based manner. An ego-based manner is where you try to feel safe by not taking any risks or by fluffing up your feathers and getting ready to go to war, especially because of that Mars aspect. This is more to do with choosing love. And choosing love in what it is that you do, whether it's to yourself, whether it's to somebody else, choosing actions based in love, and choosing as well with this full moon to be more creative, to be more playful, to engage in playful energies and playful banter rather than a joke with a jab kind of thing. So this full moon is very much about addressing where you feel some kind of discomfort and assessing whether or not it is potentially based in ego. And this is a very hard thing for people to do because we all have pride, we all have our own identity, we see who we are, and we feel a lot like with our identity, we feel a lot like we have to defend it at times because sometimes we can come across people who simply don't understand or it's not their preference, for example, and that's where this energy has to examine itself because Leo energy wants to be liked. So this energy is very much about tapping into the heart space, your own personal creativity, and also what you're proud of. You know, some degree of pride is healthy, being proud of what you've done, being proud of who you are. And the more you are content with yourself and the more that you have that love-based energy, the more the ego can dissolve and the more that you can stay connected, even when energies seem to be opposing you. So this is a wonderful full moon, but it is one where you may feel a lot of tension come up, and it's a good time to assess where certain frustrations and blockages for you are keeping you separated from people in your life or even the life that you want for yourself. It is a good time to really look at everything through the mindset of, am I leading through love or am I leading through ego? This full moon is also squaring Uranus in Taurus. So because of the aspect to Uranus, there may be some eruptions, there may be some earthquakes, some shifts in our geographical structure that could feel very surprising and very shocking. But Uranus is also the awakener. So Uranus actually awakens whatever it touches. And so if it's touching the full moon, particularly in a space surrounding the heart, particularly in a space surrounding the ego and drama, yes, it could be dramatic, but there could actually be some dramatic awakenings. You might actually be experiencing some emotions coming to the surface where there can be a sense of understanding, a sense of resolving certain things that have kept you blocked for quite a while. So there may actually be an opening of the heart chakra, an opening of your heart to new experiences, to the future. Remember, Aquarius rules the future, and while the sun is there and while Jupiter is there, it's encouraging us to shine a light on the future and shine a light on humanity and the collective, being part of a bigger group rather than having to be the center of attention per se. That can sometimes be associated with a Leo full moon. Now, it is important to remember that Leo is an incredibly loving energy. So to have it squared shows you where you're feeling some loving blocks, or where you feel like your love is not being helped or accepted or appreciated, etc. And you can see what is working for you and what isn't, particularly if something feels incredibly frustrating to the point of nothingness, to the point of pain. And so a lot of these feelings can come up and can feel very emotional around the full moon. Just remember, because of Jupiter, there is that little bit of exaggeration, but because of Uranus, there is also that awakening and an energy to set you free and liberate you from what is keeping your heart closed, or what is keeping you from expanding and connecting to the universe, to the collective, or whatever it is, even connecting to your future. So there are some huge openings going on around this full moon. Now, if you want to know what it means for your zodiac sign, the timestamps are going to be listed below. Hi Leo, and welcome to the full moon in your sign segment for you. This is your full moon. It's your annual full moon, the full moon in the first house, putting you in the spotlight, putting you center stage. What is it that you want? What is it that you would like for yourself? What part of yourself are you hoping to grow, and what part of yourself are you hoping to let go of? What maybe attitude about yourself or belief about yourself, or something to do with who you are and how you identify yourself? What have you outgrown? Remember, in the beginning we were talking about the ego is how you define yourself. You may be realizing around this full moon that something about your identity is keeping you separated from not only your true self, but your love and your career advancements. The reason that I say that is because we have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter and Saturn all in your relationship sector of relationships, love, business partnerships as well. And we have Mars and Uranus together in your 10th house, and they're all connected to this full moon in your sign. So it's asking you, where do you feel like some of who you are or how you've identified yourself is maybe stopping you from meeting somebody in love, or connecting in a business partnership, or seeing eye to eye in a partnership of any kind? Or maybe it's stopping you from going after the goals that you want. Maybe it is a self-limiting belief, for example, something about yourself and how you define you that makes you feel like, oh, I'd really like a healthy relationship, but I don't think I can find anybody who meets my standards. Or, maybe you just don't feel like there's any good people in the world. Or if it's career, you're thinking, I know what I'd love to do and I really feel called to do it, but I don't have all the personality traits that maybe you need for this, or maybe whatever. It's basically where it's shining a light. It's bringing up some feelings of how you truly feel about you in terms of work and love, and maybe where you're selling yourself a bit short, or maybe where you're preventing yourself from connecting or anticipating or moving towards this connection, this goal, whatever it is. And so with this being in your full moon in your sign, you may feel at the time really self-focused. You might feel like you really want to have a few days to yourself to figure out what you want, or you want it to be all about you. These feelings can come up with a full moon for anybody. It's not personal to you. The full moon in your sign is always opposite the sun in your partnership. So it can shine a light on where maybe you could be a better partner, or where you could communicate more with a partner, or where you could, show them how you feel, because it's the full moon in your sign. It's a beautiful time to show how you feel in a relationship, or it's a beautiful time to put out to the universe how you feel about your career and figure out how you want to feel about these things. With Mars and Uranus being in your career sector, success, long-term goals, recognition, you really have the drive there. But you also have an awakening. You also have Uranus touching all these things, giving you an awakening to how you feel emotionally about yourself, giving you an awakening to how you feel about your future, and giving you an awakening to how you feel about your relationships. And a lot of that is very intense. Now, how to work with it is to remove the ego traps. You have this little voice of intuition in your head that is very calm and it's very centered, and it tells you the truth. But the ego gets in the way. So your voice might say, you know, I'm good enough. I'm good enough for that opportunity. I have gifts that I can share. And the ego might say, but what have you done towards that? Or do you really deserve that? Or there's other people that are better at this, or there's other people that are better at that. In an unhealthy relationship, for example, your intuition might say, you know, this relationship doesn't feel right. But the ego might say, but you'll never find anybody else. You know what I mean? It's listening to the inner voice of calm and sense that you have within yourself. It's not something that you suddenly find in life and then get it. It's something that you have within you and that you lose because the voice of the ego is louder. And so it's about silencing the ego, you know, moving away from this definition of self that you have to be this type of person in order to feel love or feel connected or have a partnership or have a career that you want. And with this full moon, it's about loving yourself for who you are, but also feeling like you can be loved for who you are and being okay with that, you know, not trying to shut it down. You know, I often find that Leos are typically better at receiving compliments. You know, the way sometimes if you tell somebody, oh, I love your hair, or you're very pretty or something, they'll be like, oh, shut up. No. But with a Leo person, they'll be more inclined to say thanks. But it doesn't always mean that you feel completely there on your own. You know what I mean? Sometimes the validation has to come from the outside, and if you don't get it, you can feel a bit unseen. But this full moon, I think, gives you a lot of validation in a lot of areas, and it's showing you where you are enough, and it's asking you if you could proceed with that feeling that you are enough and that it is your birthright to love who you are and to love others. And with that in mind, I'm going to give you a card or two for your full moon in this lovely yellow color, because I've done yellow for you. I just associate yellow and gold with Leo energy and how warm it is. Oh, you got a couple of things. So you have the inner goddess card, Aphrodite. Yeah. And the Damara card, guiding children. So you are good at helping, counseling and healing children. You use your skills to help children now. So for some of you, this could be about connecting with children or listening to your inner child and how your inner child feels about you, and where maybe there were parts of you as a child that you've suppressed to fit in. And I don't mean having, you know, a meltdown in a supermarket because you want a juice that your mum's not going to get you or whatever. I don't mean that kind of inner child behavior. I mean, you know, personality traits that we get rid of. Maybe you really love climbing trees as a child, but then you put it out of your routine as an adult because you think you'd look silly. Well, you might look silly, but it's part of who you are. It's something you enjoy. You're allowed to enjoy life and have fun without worrying that everyone thinks you're a lunatic. You know what I mean? Within reason. We also have the Aphrodite card, inner goddess. Awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care and appreciating your divinity. So this is very much about appreciating who you are, dancing, taking care of yourself, being playful, having fun. I think that the childlike energy that's coming up for you, Leo, is very much to do with examining what little Leo wants, what the little part of you wants, how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your inner child work, connecting with your inner child and doing best by it, you know, not keeping it separated, not keeping it isolated, not keeping it hidden, but being present for your inner child, being present for who you were meant to be, connecting with that authenticity. We also have the door to romance. So because we have so much energy in your partnership sector, I do feel like for many of you, a door is opening in romance, and it's because of a breakdown in ego, you know, something that's keeping you separated from the love that you deserve, feeling stuck in some way. It may actually offer you an opportunity to have a very heartfelt conversation with a partner or a prospective partner. But it is really beautiful, and the door to romance card always makes me feel like you have to be willing to open that door or unlock that door or knock on that door. There has to be a part of you that's willing to move, willing to engage, not just expecting it to show up at your door, you know. But with the door to romance, I don't know, maybe it could. Maybe one of the Amazon delivery guys really, you hit it off. I don't know. because who can come to your door at the moment? But the point is that the door to romance is probably opening for you in Aquarius season. So as well as that, we're leading up to a new moon in your partnership sector. So if you are looking to manifest that, I will give you the inside knowledge in that in the next video, which will be the new moon in Aquarius. So that's all I have for you, Leo, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Virgo, and welcome to the full moon in Leo part for your sign. So Virgo, this Leo full moon is happening in a very private, very introspective, very introverted side of the sky for you, your 12th house. Now this is to do with privacy, it's to do with spending time alone, spending time in contemplation, maybe a bit of isolation for whatever reason. But it's also the sector that I associate most with our hidden emotions, with our subconscious drives, with our subconscious desires, with our subconscious programming, for example. So a lot of the time when we have a 12th house full moon, emotions that you didn't know you had or that you'd suppressed can really rise to the surface. And for you, because we have so much activity in your 6th house of health, of wellness, of routine, and of work, I'm feeling for you that it's possible you have an overwhelming feeling about your day-to-day life. You could feel very much like you want to change your diet, you want to kick a toxic habit that is linked to a subconscious motivation, and you feel like you want to get your health in check. You really want to have your work organized. You have a lot of movement there, a lot of activity. Work could be particularly busy around this time thanks to the Sun and Jupiter connecting, and you might feel a little bit emotionally overwhelmed. Now with the 12th house, it can suggest that your reaction to a bit of stress in work, or a bit of thinking about your work life, maybe you're not involved in work at the moment and maybe you're feeling very emotionally overwhelmed by that. It's important with this full moon to take some time for yourself, even if you're very busy, because there will be feelings coming up for you that you need to process, you need to purge. And as well as that, because we have Mars and Uranus connected in your 9th house, which I associate with philosophy, of ideology, your beliefs and your mindsets are subject to some change and awakening. You have a lot more energy to consider the big theories in life. And with the 9th house as well, because it's the house that rules Sagittarius, you have a lot of contemplation and you want to put energy towards your new perspective. You want to learn more, you want to research more. You're more open-minded actually, although it might not seem that way to others, because Mars in the 9th house can make you feel very aggressive about your beliefs. But because of the Uranus aspect, I always say Uranus awakens what it touches, and it's obviously in your sector of philosophy and ideology, but it's also touching this full moon in your subconscious. And I think you're having a little bit of an awakening subconsciously, possibly spiritually for many Virgos, especially Virgo rising. And you're having a few awakenings in terms of work. You're having a few awakenings in terms of what's been driving you in your life. And if you don't like what you find out, you're more prepared to make a change based on your new ideology. So I want to draw you a couple of cards. I'm using the Goddess Guidance cards because they are beautiful Leo energy color. That lovely mustard gold. I'd say it's gold rather than mustard, but sure. Gold just sounds more Leo, mustard does not. So let's do a card for you and sort of see if we can get, ooh, yes, start delegating, ask others, including me, to help you instead of trying to do everything by yourself. How often do you actually ask for help, Virgo? Because we all know that you in a work situation do it better. Like you have much more attention to detail. You're generally just smarter at routines and tasks, and you're a perfectionist. But don't take it all on yourself. Sure, it might be a great finished product, but you'll be burnt out. And what if it has to be redone again? Do you just burn out some more? I think that this is an indication that you need to take some time to yourself, but also not be afraid. We're talking about ego blocks. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It doesn't mean that you're any less. It doesn't mean that you're not good at the job, but it's about fairness. It's about making sure that there's a balance here. And also, if you're looking for work, or if you're looking for something in your life in particular, don't be afraid to ask people. Don't be afraid to let people know that you're looking for these things. don't let ego stand in the way of the information you need. You know, I've seen people that can step, you know, there's people that will get a call back to a job they really wanted, and they'll find out they only got it because somebody else had to drop out, and their ego will stop them taking it. And then there's other people that will say, this is an amazing opportunity, I don't care how I've got it, it was meant for me, etc. You know what I mean? That's connecting with the soul rather than the ego. The ego will say, well, they didn't choose you in the first place. You know, don't be afraid to put out into the universe what it is you want, especially if it's something that you don't have at the moment. And if you're struggling emotionally, ask for help. You know, that the full moon in the 12th house is very emotional, and it can sometimes really rattle people with how much emotion comes up sometimes. And if it does, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, maybe a trusted friend, maybe a family member, maybe a counselor if you're feeling very emotional, if you need to work through something psychologically, because the 12th house is oftentimes the blocks we can't see. You know, our blind spots that good therapists can point out, that good tarot readers can point out, that good Reiki healers can help you with. You know, it's about finding some healing and some peace within yourself and not letting pride get in the way of that. I'm going to do you another card and see what we get for Virgo. Door to Spirit. Stunning. I love this. Okay, so the Door to Spirit is about, see that dove, it's so peaceful. It is about opening up to your spirit, opening up to your soul, and letting that ego mindset dissolve that keeps you separate. You know, maybe the ideology, maybe the religious upbringing you had that's kept you separate from certain people, or the political ideology that keeps you separated from people, or just knowing that there's more to life than just working and doing a good job. You know, it's not your purpose to just get everything right. That's just not life, you know. I think it was Theodore Roosevelt said about, show me someone who hasn't failed and I'll show you someone who hasn't tried. I think that's the quote. But it's about seeing the higher self in our failure, seeing the higher self in our negative emotions, and understanding that there's a process there, there's a healing there, and there's a connection there. As I say, the ego keeps you separate. Don't let the egoic voice stop you from asking for help. Don't let the egoic voice stop you from feeling fulfilled or feeling okay with taking time to yourself or taking time off. You deserve that, Virgo. Okay, so that is all I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Libra, welcome to your segment on the full moon in Leo. So this is happening in your 11th house, very much associated with wishes and friendships and social connections. So this full moon for you is typically in the year quite a social time. I don't know how much of that is possible depending on where you are, but it is a wonderful time to connect online, to connect with old friends, to speak to friends, to even reunite with old friends where there has been, as I say, the theme with this full moon, where there has been ego blocks, where we have felt certain feelings of pride or beliefs have kept us separate from people that we love and care about. It can also be a beautiful time to join a group with a joint cause, you know, a humanitarian cause or a charitable cause. But also we have the Sun, we have Mercury, we have Jupiter, and we have Saturn all camped out in a sector of the sky that's very creative, it's very romantic, it's very passionate, it's very heart-centered. So this is a beautiful time to lead with the heart in everything that you do. Now the Sun and Jupiter are connected in that side of the sky for you, so there is a lot of opportunity, I think, for you, Libra, in terms of finding love or being more creative or feeling more passionate or having more fun, being more enthusiastic, especially where friends are concerned. But also because of the opposition, it's important that you don't get too wrapped up in one area. This full moon is going to show you whether you're out of balance. You know, if you're in a relationship of any kind and you're sacrificing your friends, or you're sacrificing ever finding somebody because you're more focused on your friends, or you're not making time for it in your life because you're too involved in a cause, or you're too involved in I just dropped all my cards. You're too involved in, you know, social activities that won't help you meet somebody, for example. So it's not about sacrificing anything per se, it's more about balance, and you know that so well. So this is a beautiful full moon for you in terms of fun, in terms of connection, and also in terms of, if you think back to August And I don't know, maybe some of you don't set new moon intentions, but if you think of the new moon intentions you set back in August 2020, how have they manifested? Are they manifesting? There's likely some kind of growth from there in the last 6 months of something that you really wanted to accumulate since then, be it a relationship, be it a friendship, be it a cause, or be it a wish of any kind. So we also have Mars and Uranus camped out in your 8th house. So there's a lot of unexpected, unpredictable energy there in terms of jealousy, in terms of paranoia, in terms of real ego trips, and anything that comes up as tension or conflict around this time is really alerting you to something you need to let go in terms of ego, something that is keeping you separate. You know, when we think of the 8th house, especially with Mars there, I kind of think of jealousy and fear of being left, fear of being abandoned can all come up. But Uranus is a great awakener, and so with Uranus there, you can actually really find out something that's been pushing you in a negative way, you know, some kind of toxic trait of yourself or somebody around you, or something that you just want to change, you want to work through. Also, some of you could be dealing with issues or unpredictable scenarios surrounding taxes or inheritance, or other people's money, resources, joint resources, your partner's resources. There could be some unexpected energy coming around documentation there. Maybe you owe more money than you realize, or maybe you owe a lot less money than you realize. Happy days. But because of the tension there with, you know, your sector of love and creativity, you know, it's important to be responsible in this life, but it's also important not to let the ego override your sense of having fun and enjoying yourself and being playful and seeing the bright side of life. It's important not to let that 8th house tension, you know, of feeling like you need to be at a certain place in your life get in the way of you actually enjoying the process, you know, enjoying your moment, enjoying the day. So if I can just get the cards off the floor, I will if I can just get the cards off the floor, I shall shuffle them for you and see what we have coming up for the lovely Libra. So Libra, we have a few things. So we have blossoming, sensitivity, and your inner goddess. So with this energy, you might feel very sensitive around the full moon, which is likely because it's a full moon. You know, we oftentimes feel very sensitive, but there's something about you that's really blossoming, and I think it's in terms of love, and I think it's in terms of love of self, love of others, love of creativity. You know, we have the Aphrodite card, which is your energy. Venus is in Capricorn, it's conjunct Pluto around this time, and so that could actually be bringing up a lot of intense feelings surrounding your home and your family. It can also bring a lot of transformation and resolve there. So you might be feeling very sensitive at home, but it's important to have patience with it because something's blossoming after needing a lot of care. Okay, so that's the way that I'm seeing this. But also do make time for fun. That's just so important with this energy. Make time for fun, make time to dance, you know, have a little dance party in your room or whatever. Whatever it is that makes you enjoy yourself. Have an espresso martini, you know. I don't know if when you do astrology and tarot and stuff, if you're supposed to say to people don't drink. Like, I'm sure a lot of people do or whatever, but I do feel like in the astrological wheel, you know, there's room for people to have different types of fun, etc. So it's you know, no judgment. If you want to have an espresso martini, you do you. So I'm just going to pull up that card. I don't know why all your cards have fallen down. Nobody else's did. So we have the man holding a coin. So I am seeing financial news for you, Libra, for sure. I'm seeing financial news. It could be to do with taxes. It could be to do with a job offer. It could be to do with financial resources of some kind, money, taxes. It could be to do with, I'm just putting off my little alert there. It could be to do with anything surrounding money and surrounding wealth and surrounding self-worth. So with this energy as well, I also think for some of you, this could be a romantic offer, somebody offering you a commitment, somebody offering you something to do with joint ventures, you know, working together in a project, working together in a job, working together in a relationship, or making you a tangible offer. They could be giving you the key to their apartment. They could be giving you a ring, maybe. they could be giving you anything. It's an offer of some kind, and it's promising, Libra. So I don't know why I pulled up that card. He's here. Somebody's making you an offer around the full moon, which I really like. So that is all I have for you, Libra, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Scorpio, and welcome to the full moon in Leo segment for you. So this Leo full moon is happening in your 10th house of career, of advancement, of recognition, of success, of fame. And this full moon is really casting a huge light on how you feel about that, or what is unseen within you. At the same time, we have the Sun, we have Mercury, we have Jupiter, and we have Saturn in your 4th house, the opposite of your 10th house. And this is putting a lot of energy, a lot of focus into your home, your family, your residence, and your children. And so we have in mind, Scorpio, so much pressure to balance both. You know, you're coming up with a lot of feelings about how you feel about your career, how you feel about your brand, your identity in terms of the career, how the world sees you, but also your personal and private life. You know, it's public versus private, and you're trying to find a balance between both. For a lot of you, you're going to realize that you've been playing it too private and you want a bit more recognition, and for others of you, the opposite is true. And so with this full moon, when feelings are coming up about your career, about your family, it can be very heavily associated with what the ego is telling you to do, what the ego is telling you to want. And so you have to consider at what expense you feel your career is making you unhappy, how it's making you unhappy, or how it's making you feel fulfilled. And similarly with your family, what's making you feel fulfilled and what's making you feel unhappy. You know, there's an evaluation there. Some feelings could come to a head, but there could also be an opportunity for some career growth, some manifestation, some advancement. If you feel you've been really struggling, for example, to get recognition, this full moon might actually be an opportunity for you to do so. It might be an opportunity for you to be more in the spotlight and come out of the work you've done privately, the investments and the foundations that you've laid. But for a lot of Scorpios, because there's so much in the 4th house, and we are talking about the ego in this video, for some of you, you could have some self-limiting beliefs in terms of the past, and how your identity is shaped by the past, and how you feel like you're stuck there and you can't change it. You know, limiting beliefs you've had since you were a child, or the way that you define success based on your parents, for example, can be feelings come up, particularly surrounding the father. Those type of feelings can come up around this full moon. So it's important to be gentle with that and to be careful not to engage in too many conflicts. One of the other things we do have is that Mars and Uranus are in your opposite sign. They're in your sign of partnership. So for a lot of Scorpios, there is so much energy as well. You're putting a lot of your energy towards your partnerships, your romantic relationship, or you're noticing a lack of energy there if that's your case. With Uranus there, yes, it can cause some surprises and some revelations, but it's an awakening planet. So Uranus is awakening your partnership sector. It's showing you what it is that you want, what it is that you need, or where you could release some ego blocks there too. You know, for a lot of Scorpios, the ego keeps them separate because they're very afraid of being vulnerable. And so they put forward the egoic nature, you know, that I have success in this department and I'm all these different things, possibly because you're leading with the phrase I'm worthy. And you don't have to lead with that if you feel it internally. So you may realize, Scorpio, that you don't have to have external things to be enough. And that's a wonderful revelation. Or you may notice that you don't have to have the career success you thought you did at this point to be enough. That's also a revelation, you know. For a lot of Scorpios as well, because there's so much happening in the 4th house, you're also realizing that you don't need to look too far outside of yourself. You don't need to look too far outside of your family. It's very healing. There's a lot of healing moments with friendships, with families, with love interests, all these different things. You're looking to play it a little bit more low key. So I feel like the energies with this full moon, especially with Mars and Uranus, if people are being dramatic or people are acting out, I feel like you might feel a bit threatened and a little bit upset, and so the ego might come down to protect you, and you might again feel like you have to assert yourself or be defensive, and you don't have to do any of these things, you know. Considering that this is a 10th house full moon, it's good to look at what identities really matter to you and why, and where you think they come from. You know, why do you feel you have to be at a certain place at a certain time? Because the second you don't trust in the timing of your life, the second you are leading from ego again. You know, it's feeling like you have to control everything. And with so much energy in the fixed signs, you really do feel like you have to control things, even if you don't particularly feel satisfied in what you're controlling. So for a lot of you, if that is career, you might want an advancement where you are and then realize, but I don't want to be here. And you know, then you start thinking, well, I'm going to start looking elsewhere. Or you might think, you know, this apartment it doesn't really feel like me. I need to change this. I need to add my own touches. And maybe that means I need to spend more time at home rather than constantly out at my career. Or maybe I can, you know, because a lot of people are working from home at the moment. Maybe you're feeling particularly suffocated at home, or maybe you miss work, or maybe you're realizing you don't want to go back and work 9 to 5 in your job in an office. All these different types of emotions and realizations are coming up. But we have the Aphrodite card, so it's worth noticing that Venus is conjunct your ruler Pluto. So this makes you incredibly magnetic. It makes you incredibly attractive, incredibly engaging, incredibly magnetic, incredibly beautiful. You know, you're most beautiful. When Venus is conjunct your ruler, it really brings out an allure in you. It brings out your magnetism. It can also bring out jealousy. It can also bring out fears that can be resolved through cooperation and through harmony. It's happening in your sector of communication. We just had a beautiful new moon there, so it is actually a wonderful time to have conversations. Provided you're not leading with ego, they can actually be very healing. And the best way to not lead with ego is to listen, and really listen to what somebody is saying rather than wait to respond. That's a key, that you're engaging with someone without ego. And also your primal motivation in those conversations should be peace. It should be about appreciation for the person you're with and being open to that love space. And for you, Scorpio, with the Leo full moon in your career and recognition, it's also about giving yourself the recognition that you've done a good job and that you're trying your best. And also that you're trying your best to be a good partner, or you're trying your best to be a good family member. And just knowing that leading with love in those connections can really have some major breakthroughs and major awakenings for you, especially with this Aphrodite card. You know, when Aphrodite comes up, I do feel like it's a really strong nod to leading with love and leading with a sense of divinity and a sense of appreciation for other people's divinity and respecting other people. So I'm going to do you another card as well, and hopefully they don't all fall on the floor, because they did in Libras, and see what we have for... Oh, I spoke too soon. Okay, I'm going down. Oh, strategy. Strategy fell on the floor. So strategy would be, this is also 21, which reduces to a 3, your third house. Writing, letting things out, journaling, making a new career plan, realizing what's not working in terms of your career, and putting in place the new energies. And I do feel like for a lot of Scorpios, there should be some kind of, action. There should be some kind of career advancement or realization or awakening in terms of your career that is really important. And I also feel with the action card, you need to see, Scorpio, where you're aligning yourself mentally and aligning yourself physically with your goals, where you're leading with powerful intention and trust in the universe, trust that what you're going for will be yours. Because if you don't have that feeling, you're not going to connect with it as much, and then taking the steps to do so. So it is about aligning yourself. It's aligning your thoughts and your actions in a big way as well, in terms of your long-term goals, but also your relationships, you know. And with so much going on, Scorpio, in the fixed signs, be careful of your stinger, especially in your words. You know, Venus conjunct your ruler is saying that you need to make sure that you're speaking with love in order to transform things for the better, not leading from the ego, you know. So that is all I have for you, Scorpio. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to the full moon in Leo video for your sign. So Sagittarius, this is your full moon of the 9th house of travel, of expansion, of ideology. And so you may be traveling, some of you, of course, you know, with a full moon in your sign. You might be moving, you might be relocating, you might be taking a trip of some kind, or you might be planning to take a trip in the future. If you have been considering universities or a course of study, you might also have some news in this area as well, or you may be completing some form of study or receiving good recognition and feedback. So that aside, we have an overwhelming amount of energy in your your third house. I was going to say your fourth house, your third house of communication, of media, of listening, of speaking, of neighbors, of siblings, all that different kind of stuff. So we have your ruler opposite this full moon, and so with your ruler being in your communication sector, this full moon being in your sector of ideology, there is a potential, especially with Mars and Uranus in the 6th house, there is a potential that people might want to push your buttons, especially in work. There could be some heated debates. With this energy, the key, as I'm saying in all the signs, and because it's a big theme with this full moon, is not to lead from a place of defensiveness, not to lead from a place of ego, as I say, because the ego separates us. It can do a lot of damage this time. Things can really be blown out of proportion for you in particular, especially in terms of words. So it's making sure to really listen and also choosing whether or not it's worth your time to engage, especially if it is affecting your health or affecting a work situation. So with a bit of tension going on there, Mars and Uranus are in your 6th house, meaning that your well-being is your priority around this time. You have to put your energy towards your health and your fitness, or your goals, your day-to-day routine, your diet, for example, putting a lot of energy and a lot of motivation there, because Uranus is really awakening up that sector, and you're having some very big epiphanies in where you need to put your energy in your day, what matters to you in your day, what you are keeping as clutter, and what it is that you could get rid of, and what habits are most important. So those are things to bear in mind, because that energy is clashing with the Leo full moon and the Aquarian energy. And of course, it means that what you say can go wrong sometimes. Mercury is very much in shadow in Aquarius, meaning that your communication and your words might feel kind of frustrated, like you're not getting out what it is that you need to say. But if you do choose to lead with love and lead with a strong sense of self, as you can do with a full moon in your 9th house, because you're a 9th house sign, you can lead with love and know that your message and your resonance will be received correctly, rather than trying to explain everything from the head, as it were. This full moon is very much about leading with the heart. And as I said about ego, I do feel like there could be some people who challenge your beliefs, and you're a sign who's very, Sagittarians can be very open-minded. They can also be stubborn in their beliefs, and so if someone challenges you, it might really feel like a trigger to you around this time. And it's important, as I say, not to respond to it too much, because it could be amplified, it could get heated, and it could escalate, basically, is what I would see with this turn of events with the full moon being where it is in the aspects, because there's so much in the fixed signs. So for you, one of the ways that I would see this full moon in a positive way is that because Leo is so adventurous, there could be a feeling of adventure for you coming up. There could be an overwhelming feeling of, I feel like I'm getting my adventurous spirit back. It's like Bilbo Baggins being ready for another adventure. And you could feel like there's a new adventure on the horizon for you that is going to be very, very different, I think, from where you are. You have so much in the sector of your local neighborhood, of your community, of your neighbors, etc. And this full moon is opposite it, asking you to be that adventurous. But it's also with the Aquarian energy, asking you to get to know your neighbors if you can, or communicate better with your siblings, connect more with your siblings, and also put that voice of yours to use. Through starting a book, through starting a journal, through starting something online, Sagittarius, being able to communicate effectively in the future. When Mercury's out of retrograde and stuff, really reevaluating how you communicate, how you speak, how you choose your words, and how you choose your verbal skills and how you use them. Also, make sure that you double check everything that you're writing if you're sending out important documents, etc. Because of that Mercury retrograde, we also, interestingly enough, have Venus conjunct Pluto in your sector of finance. And I feel like you could possibly be on the brink of some big expenditure or money. You could be receiving some money around this time. So we have the Patience card. This is an interesting one. The Patience card would be very much to do with understanding the divine timing of things, understanding the process. I feel like a lot of you might have to be patient regarding an upcoming trip or a relocation, or you might have to be very patient with some emotions that come up around this time. You might have to be very patient with those around you, and it's also choosing to be cautious with your reactions to those that are trying to provoke, especially if it is to do with your work. But also in terms of any health or fitness goals, have patience with yourself, because with Mars and Uranus, there can be this real need for like instant results, instant shocking results. You know, like those click things that says that she lost 30 pounds in 5 days by doing this one simple trick. You know, clickbait stuff. Be patient with your process, and be patient with your body in particular is something that I'm getting for you with this full moon. Be patient with your body. And be very patient with any plans to travel or relocate, or be patient with other people who just are not thinking straight, you know, or it feels like they're not thinking straight, or it feels like they're being intentionally, you know, annoying. Just be patient with them, Sagittarius. Ooh, Pele, divine passion. Be honest with yourself. What is your true desire? So there's a lot of passionate energies. I also saw this one, golden opportunity. I do think that there is an opportunity coming up for you in terms of your passions, in terms of the things that excite you very much, and in terms of money. I do feel like a lot of you could have a golden opportunity in terms of money, but also in terms of travel. You know, I see the dolphin card and the sea, and I also see the volcano. So maybe for some of you it's Italy, Sicily, or it's a plan to travel somewhere which has a lot of mountains and a lot of nature, expansive energy. There's also a desire for you around this full moon, I think, to get more into nature, and that can even be exploring your local neighborhood. You know, some beauty on your doorstep around this full moon. So that is all I have for you, Sagittarius, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your segment on the Leo full moon. So Capricorn, this full moon is occurring in your 8th house, which is to do with joint resources, it's to do with taxes, partners' finances, it's to do with sex, it's to do with death, it's to do with the occult. Very mysterious house. So to have a full moon here means there could be some hidden energies coming up in those areas. It could be that you receive a tax rebate, it could be that you figure out you've more taxes to pay than you thought, or there could be some news about your partner's job, or there could be some news about family inheritance, for example, that you didn't expect, you know, from a long distance relative or something like that. Now, this full moon has a little bit of tension with your sector of love, and it also has an opposition with your sector of your own money, you know, your disposable income. And so this full moon is a wonderful time to really have a good look at your finances, a real good self-financial audit. Have a look at what your situation is, where you could be spending less money, where you could move some money around in terms of what you're putting out and what you're bringing in. You could make some different financial decisions. It's a really good time to shine a light there, but because of the Sun conjunct Jupiter in your financial sector, there could actually be a new opportunity for you to make money. But full moons are typically about closure, but they're also revealing of things that you didn't know. So there may be an opportunity comes to light that you didn't expect, or there may be, you may realize you've spent too much money on one particular item or area where you could save and maybe reinvest it somewhere in the future. So there's a lot of energy coming around surrounding money, and this could be something that is very prosperous for you, or it could help you re-examine your relationship with prosperity and abundance, and if you have any money blocks. So for you Capricorn, the way that I would see this is, because we're dealing a lot in this video with maybe more there's some ego, is where you feel like you're not good enough because you don't have a certain amount of money, or where you feel like your worth is tied to your money. You know what, you have so much activity in the second house, and with so much activity happening in the second house, it's really asking you what it is in the world that you value the most, what is most important to you, and really taking time to evaluate what exactly that is. It doesn't even have to be financial. The second house can be where we find our confidence and our self-worth, you know, where we go out in the world and figure out what means the most to us. And so for you, I'm thinking that this opposition to it with the 8th house is, it's really bringing up some private desires that you have surrounding money and in terms of your relationships and resources. The 8th house as a full moon can also make you quite jealous, it can make you quite paranoid, or it can make you feel really very emotionally intense about a partner, or about someone in your life who means a lot to you, especially because there's tension with Mars in your 5th house and Uranus in your 5th house. In your love sector, your sector of creativity, there's a bit of an awakening going on, but there's also an aggression, and that aggression is packing off your 5th house, your 8th house, and it's also packing off your sector of money, okay, your 2nd house. So there is a little bit of tension going on, a little bit of jealousy, I think, coming in, maybe a little bit of paranoia, or at least passion. You know, it can be used as a higher echo as well. There can be passion coming around this full moon that feels really very intense at the same time. So that can be something that's quite beautiful for you. You can be very magnetic around this time thanks to the 8th and the 5th house. You can be feeling really passionate about your partner, really passionate about your desires in life. Also with Mars and Uranus, as I say in the intro, awakens what it touches. So you're having awakening moments in this area, and you're seeing where ego has maybe held you back in love as well, or ego has held you back from being creative. Maybe you had a project you wanted to put out, a new creative project or a hobby, but your ego is holding you back from putting your heart into it. You know, the 5th house is heart space. So you're having a lot of awakenings with your heart, and leaning into those and really feeling where the love is flowing in your life and following that. So if you find a hobby you really love, don't let the ego tell you not to do it. Don't let the ego tell you not to, you know, provided it's not harming anybody, because you don't want to take liberties with what I'm saying. I mean, in terms of hobbies and passions you have, or the love you have for your partner, example, you know, not holding back there because the ego is telling you you're not good enough for it, you're not good enough at it yet. You know, everybody is a beginner at something. Everything has a beginning point. You know what I mean? You don't start a new business or a new hobby as somebody who has 10 years of experience in it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people gradually move, but everyone has to start somewhere. So don't let your need to be the best at things, or the need to be a bit further on, block you from starting something or putting a bit more passion into it. So I'm going to do an oracle card for you, Capricorn, and see what we have. Ooh. Okay, so we have Coventina and Ishel. So we have purification and the medicine woman. Interesting. Very interesting. So when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about the fact that the true node is in your 6th house, which is to do with health, and it's to do with your body, and it's connecting with Neptune. Now Neptune is in your 3rd house of communication. If you are feeling like you're having to hold back a lot of what you say, or you're worried, I'm kind of seeing this as like your conversations, your communication is very much linked to your health at the moment. So if you're holding back words, you might notice physical symptoms such as a sore throat, or you might notice if you feel really nervous about somebody that you're around all the time, maybe you feel like stomach pains, and it's asking you to really tap into your body and kind of cleanse yourself of something that's not working, or something you're maybe ingesting. Maybe you're having too much coffee and it's giving you anxiety, or maybe you're not drinking enough water, or maybe you're not getting enough vegetables. Whatever it is, it's alerting you to something in your body that you're not seeing. Something's affecting you that you're not seeing because of that Neptune aspect. If you've been feeling kind of out of sorts for no reason for a while, that might clear in February thanks to Neptune and the true node disconnecting, which I think everybody's looking forward to, because we would just like some truth, some peace of mind. I'm also going to do you another oracle card here while we're here. So Capricorn. Caring connection. So there's some beautiful space for love if you just open up to it. For a lot of you with Mars and Uranus, you might meet somebody quite unexpectedly. You might meet someone you've a lot of passion for. But this is asking you around this full moon, because it's your 8th house, to really connect with somebody. And you know, if you're in a relationship and you're feeling jealous, or you're feeling all these different things, if you can show your softer side and they meet that well, if you can share your fears and they meet that well, that's a really good sign of compatibility. Being vulnerable with another person and being able to, you know, give and receive, to receive love and to offer it. You know, sometimes people find they think they can't give love, but oftentimes they actually can't receive it. You know, they find it hard to accept it from other people. So this full moon is asking you, Capricorn, to let the ego subside in order to let a connection flourish. So that is what I have for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the full moon in Leo segment for your sign. So this full moon is in your partnership sector. So there could be some emotions going towards your partnership at this time. There may be heightened feelings, there may be some news surrounding a partnership, be it in business or be it in love. It could be your spouse, it could be your business partner, it could be your current relationship or your prospective relationship. There could be some news going on there. And because there's so much energy as well in your first house, you're really having to figure out how love partnerships, business partnerships, balance with your personal time and also fit with your identity. There is also a clash with Uranus and Mars being in your sector of family and home. So you could be feeling quite pulled in different directions at the moment, Aquarius, but it's likely you have a good attitude about it because we have the Sun and Jupiter conjunct in your sign, which is actually really lucky. It's really auspicious, and this could be granting you a lot of optimism, a lot of radiance, a lot of good feeling that could be really magnetic to other people, and other people might really be drawn to you at this time. They might really be wanting a lot of your attention. You might find a relationship goes to the next level, or you may find that a partnership goes to the next level. For a lot of you as well that are in unhappy relationships, you may be finding that you're leaving those behind because the full moon energy is amplified, and it's also connecting with Jupiter in an opposition, which means that you might be feeling emotionally overwhelmed. There could be a lot of feelings for good or bad, but this can generate in others a lot of restlessness in an emotional sense. And I feel like for you, you're coming across as very radiant and very loving and very lucky at this time. It's a wonderful full moon to see a manifestation of something you really wanted. But I feel with Uranus being an awakener for you, because Uranus is your ruler and it is in your sector of family, it's really awakening you to how much time you spend at home, how important home is, or what you want from your home. With Mars being there, maybe you want to move, maybe you want to relocate, or maybe you want a house by the ocean, or maybe you want a house by a river, and you're trying to figure out ways how to make that happen, and you might get some news from a partner that can help you make that happen. I feel like collaboration around this full moon is really auspicious for you. I also feel like at this time, because we have Venus conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, with Venus, okay, we have a card has just popped out. 1 second. Okay, because Venus and Pluto are connecting in a sector of the sky for you that's very much to do with the subconscious, you could be feeling unusually needy or really wanting to connect with someone on a deeper level. You could be finding that you have a lot of feelings come to the surface in terms of love. I am feeling a lot of feelings in general for romantic relationships or wanting romantic relationships, and I do feel that even though you've so much in your sector of self, it is important to recognize that you are deserving of a partner if that's what you want, but also deserving of your own time and deserving of that balance. You know, there's a reason that everything in astrology has an opposite energy. They can be troubling or they can be balanced. You know, it's about how we receive them. So I feel for you at the moment, the balance with your partnerships is saying to you that it is good for you to be engaging in a healthy relationship at this time. Again, whether it's love or business, it is healthy for you to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. And if you have to leave something behind around this time that you didn't want to leave behind, or you felt trapped in something for a very long time, this card, Sedna, infinite supply, you're supplied for today and all of your tomorrow. There's a sense for you, Aquarius, that there is maybe your ego block is coming from feeling like there isn't actually another option for you. And I don't necessarily mean in terms of replacing people. That's not what I mean. I mean in terms of worrying about taking the next step towards something because you worry how it's going to work. For a lot of you, that you could be worried about, for example, if you're worried about a partner or you're worried about family or children, this is telling you that you're supplied, that you can, you know, to tap into that energy to find some peace and know that you're going to be looked after, whatever it is that you're worrying about, you know, about trusting the universe or having affirmations that you're going to be looked after and that you're going to be okay. I also feel with infinite supplies that there's an energy of abundance for you. You could really be tapping into the feeling of being enough as you are. With Saturn and Jupiter there, a big theme of your year is your relationship with yourself, and you're being given a preview and how you identify that with your relationships, and how secure you feel in your relationships, or how insecure you feel about relationships, or what your fears or blockages are there. But I am also feeling with the infinite supply and the victory card, there could be a lot of good luck going on for you at the moment, Aquarius. I do think with the Sun conjunct Jupiter in your sign, this is an annual energy. You won't feel this again for 12 years. Make the most of it. Feel victorious, feel hopeful, and manifest the SHIT out of what you want. You know, really get your head in the game, focusing on the universe bringing good things to you, feeling open to the universe, feeling engaged with the energies, and believing that there is an abundance and that you're going to be supplied. You know, I feel like with the wheel energy as well, and the daisies, it's sort of very, I think it's very hopeful. When I think of wheels, you know, wheels go at they're such peaceful, tranquil animals. They make really relaxing sounds, and daisies are about staying grounded and in nature. And I think with Mars and Uranus connecting in an earth sign, there is a potential that you need to stay grounded, especially with so much energy in your first house. You need some kind of balance, and this full moon in Leo can offer you that balance because it is your opposite sign. It is important to stay balanced, and it is important to stay in harmony, especially with your relationships. As I think of wheel signs, you know, make sure that you're communicating in a way that's peaceful with a partner, because with the Mars aspect, you know, there's so much, especially you could be arguing over children, or arguing with children, or arguing over the past, or you could be finding that your relationship with the past, you know, your past traumas, for example, could be stirring up arguments. And the best way to work through all that, even though Mercury is in shadow, is to communicate, and to communicate in a way that serves you, and because of the Leo full moon, also a way that serves your partner, serves your partnership. For a lot of you, this full moon could actually be a manifestation of a new prospective love interest as well. That is something that could be coming up around this time. You could have somebody on the periphery who could be potential partnership material. So that's something that could be manifesting too, Aquarius. So thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces, welcome to your segment on the full moon in Leo. So Pisces, this full moon is occurring in your sector of wellness, of health, of routine, and of your day-to-day work. So this full moon will bring up feelings that you have surrounding your diet, your well-being, your spiritual practices, your routines, as well as your day-to-day work. So for this 6th house full moon, I think what's happening for you, Pisces, is that you're trying to understand a balance in your life. You're trying to get your schedule on track. You're trying to figure out a bit more balance, you know, scheduling your time, figuring out your diet, figuring out your health routine, and how all of it makes your body feel, and how all of it actually affects your well-being internally, you know, your spiritual and mental health. The 6th house and the 12th house are obviously opposite each other. There's so much energy in your 12th house, which is making you more introspective. It's making you more private. It's making you look inward, and it's making you feel very connected to the divine, to the spiritual. You actually do really well with 12th house energies because it's your house. And so this full moon is asking you to keep that balance. You know, it's asking you where you're becoming maybe too introverted and too introspective and isolating yourself. It's maybe asking you to come out a little bit. For some of you, this may be returning to work. This may be manifesting a new job. This could be manifesting a new diet routine or exercise routine. You could be joining a gym, for example. But really with this, the main focus is manifesting through spiritual practice, you know, having a spiritual routine, manifesting well-being, manifesting health, manifesting a sense of calm through a spiritual practice or well-being, such as meditation, or such as you know, journaling. I think Pisces can be quite empathic, so you need to be journaling in order to figure out what feelings are yours and what feelings aren't, and sometimes just that release can make you feel a little bit better. But because there's so much going on in the 12th house, and it is a very psychic side of the sky for you, and you're very tapped in and tuned in, it can feel overwhelming, and this is where you need to figure out a routine or a balance that really suits you and makes you feel grounded, makes you feel centered, and also allows you to work and progress and establish some good habits for your future Piscean self. So aside from this, we also have Mars and Uranus connected in your 3rd house of communication. And so with Mars and Uranus connected in your 3rd house, one of the ways this is manifesting is that You may be feeling like words can come up quite abruptly, or you may be feeling like siblings can be quite bristly, or neighbors can be quite bristly around this time. But there is an awakening going on in that area, and it's also an area you're willing to put a lot of energy. So you're willing to put a lot of energy into your communication. You're figuring out a different communication style maybe, or you are able to articulate yourself better, or you maybe just feel braver with this energy, braver conversing with people, braver speaking your truth. And with Uranus there, you might actually discover a hidden talent. You could be a great writer, you could be a great media personality, a great blogger. Any of these things could all be transpiring for you, that maybe that's where you want to put your energy, and maybe they're clashing a little bit with your day job or your introspection. So with this kind of energy, Pisces, as well as that, the ruler of this full moon is the sun, and it's going to be conjunct Jupiter, which is your traditional ruler, which is very auspicious, right? So it's very lucky in your 12th house. Your powers of manifestation could actually be really very strong around this full moon. So in releasing the ego, and the ego for you will be in terms of your day-to-day work, it'll be in terms of your health. So it's releasing ego traps where you feel like you have to have, you have to eat certain foods to blend in with people. Maybe you feel like you have to drink a lot of coffee to fit in, or you maybe feel like you want to feel part of things, so you join a gym, or you want an amazing body, so you join a gym, but it's coming from an egoic place rather than for the self. You have to make sure that the things that you're doing and manifesting for yourself, because there's a lot of power there, actually come from a sense of soul, wanting the best for yourself, wanting the best health for yourself so that you can do amazing things in this life, or wanting to eat great foods to feel better. Thinking through your feelings is a great way of being a Pisces. Figuring out what you want through your feelings rather than anything else, and how things make you feel. How do certain foods make you feel? Certain relationships, how does your job make you feel even? Some of you might feel a little bit exhausted. But with Mars and Uranus being there, journaling, writing down your intentions, writing down your wishes, and also writing down what you'd like to let go of. Letting go of some toxic habits would be particularly beneficial around this full moon. So I'm going to draw you an oracle card and see what we get. Dear Pisces. Also, Venus is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So if you have a wish about love, there we go. If you have a wish about love, Venus conjunct Pluto might actually make it come true. Venus conjunct Pluto in your 11th house has a lot to do with wishes. A lot of you could find love with a friend, or a lot of you could find love online. But it looks like your friendships are going to be transformed, your wishes are going to be transformed, your social connections are going to be transformed, and you may be feeling very intense feelings of generosity towards your friends, or you might be noticing some really beautiful connections or some changes as well. But what I love about this is the card we have for you is unconditional love, which is a really nice energy. Love others, love yourself, others, in every situation, no matter what the outward appearance may be. So there's an interesting feeling going on here of not jumping to conclusions, not letting ego separate you from other people. Sometimes with the 12th house, the difference is being okay with your own company, and also being in your own company because you hate everybody else, which I don't think is your case. But making sure that you do have compassion and time for other people, and you show that unconditional love to yourself, and it's not based on circumstances. It's not based on your job in particular, your day-to-day job, or your body. Okay, so what else do I have for Pisces? Ooh, man holding a heart. There's a lot of love energies coming up for you, Pisces, which is interesting because the next full moon in Virgo is your sector of partnerships and love. So for some Pisces, it kind of looks a little bit like love has already got a head start here for you, which is interesting with the unconditional love and the man holding a heart. Very expressive, very emotional, really showing feelings. I do feel like for a lot of Pisces, this could be somebody from the past showing up with an offer of love or some kind of communication or an apology, because that's 12th house domain. But I'm guessing maybe it could be that Venus-Pluto conjunction. Somebody could really have very strong feelings for you, and because Uranus is in your third house, someone might unexpectedly declare much deeper feelings for you than you anticipated, or someone who's not very someone who doesn't always show their feelings may suddenly show their feelings, but I'm feeling like it's a nice thing. I'm feeling like there's a really unexpected communication of love for the Pisceans, which is beautiful. So it's also telling you to lead with the heart as well, obviously, is the theme of this Leo full moon. So that is all I have for you, Pisces. Take care. Hi Aries, welcome to the full moon in Leo video for your sign. So this full moon, Aries, is happening in your heart space. This is happening in your sector of love and romance. And so there could be some openness there. Your heart could be opening. It could be opening, ooh, already. This card is coming out for absolutely everyone, the inner goddess card. You could be having a lot of passionate conversations, a lot of romantic feelings could be coming out. You could be feeling very creative, very playful. You could be dancing more. You could be painting something. You could be singing more. And this is all recommended. It's a chance to really be playful and have a little bit of fun, a little bit of light-hearted energy amidst the chaos. There's a lot going on for you financially and in career. With Mars and Uranus in your second house, you may be feeling like you have to put so much energy into making money. You could have had some unexpected expenditures come up that you have to see to, that you have to work towards. You could have had some new money come in that you're wanting to invest or you're wanting to change. You know, you're really putting your energy towards your finances at the moment, your own disposable income. You could really be wanting to save for the future. Also had the unconditional love card, beautiful. And you have so much energy going on financially. You also have so much energy going on in terms of your friendships. You're really pulled to spend more time with your friends if you can, to connect online, etc., etc. There could be a clash online to do with your relationship and your friendships. So there could be some kind of discord between a prospective love relationship and friends. Maybe there's like, maybe your friends don't like your love interest, for example, if they're not a good person, or maybe there's just a misunderstanding because Mercury is about to go retrograde in your sector of the internet. So be very careful about what you post with that domain in mind. There could be a lot of energy going on there. So there could be some friction, and there could actually be friction in terms of how much money you've lent to a friend or a lover or a past lover or something. There could be a bit of friction, and you're just, you know, you realize with this full moon, I just want my money back. I'm drawn, like I'm focusing on my financial security right now. I just want to make sure that my finances are in order. So cards we have for you, the inner goddess and the unconditional love card. It's a really beautiful full moon to focus on love, whether it is for your partner, for yourself, for your pet, for your family, whatever it is. Focusing on love. Be playful with love. Be playful with others, engage with others, have a little bit more fun if you can with people. Just, you know, you can, obviously it's not the climate to be having big parties or anything, but it is a beautiful climate to just feel open-hearted in the moment with whoever you're with, whoever you're cooped up with, or whoever you know happen to be around at that time. It is a beautiful time to tap into that feeling of unconditional love and really figure out where, as I've been saying with all the energies, where ego keeps you separated from love, where you feel like you have to look a certain way for your partner or behave a certain way, or you have to have a certain amount of money in the bank. And with Venus conjunct Pluto in your sector of career and resources, there could be some amazing transformations for you in terms of your career and your public image in a good way, right? In a good way. But that's all something to bear in mind. You know, life is about balance, and I think this full moon for a lot of people is showing us where this drive to have it all is leaving us depleted and leaving us lacking in the most fulfilling areas of our life. So I'm going to draw another card for you. And see what we get. Ooh, the thinking woman. So with so much activity in your 11th house, Aries, it is very important to have a grounding practice to balance out all this energy in your head, all these ideas, all these manifestations. There could actually be a big wish comes true for you, Aries, because the sun is conjunct Jupiter in your 11th house. There could actually be an amazing manifestation for you. And I think for a lot of you, it comes, ooh, okay. It comes, I lost a card, I can see it, it's the abundance card, but it's also the door to romance. So for a lot of you, there's an amazing manifestation in love, or an amazing manifestation in abundance. And also we have the heart chakra. I wonder, can I get that? We also have the Blossoming Abundance card. So we have the heart chakra, Archangel Raphael, the door to romance, and the thinking woman. So I feel like something, you've literally thought something into existence, be it a relationship, be it a conversation, be it money abundance, be it love abundance. Jeepers Aries, you just seem to have it all, don't you? So there's a lot of beautiful things manifesting for you around this full moon, Aries. Do try not to get too hot-headed in terms of money or in terms of people challenging your self-worth. You might have a moment where someone makes you feel like they're questioning your worth, but they're probably not. You know, there is a lot of misunderstandings in the air and a lot of internal frustrations based on how we identify ourselves and our ego. So try to stay calm, try to figure out how you feel about it, and try to keep that heart space open. And you will find that the more you open your heart, the easier times actually are around this full moon. So that is all I have for you, Aries. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Taurus, and welcome to this full moon in Leo for your sign. So Taurus, this full moon is happening in your sector of home and family. Now emotions could be running quite high in terms of your home, relationships, in terms of your family, or you could be spending a nice amount of time with them or wanting to spend more time with them and connect with them. The reason that I say this is because your career sector is where the Sun and Jupiter are at the moment. So there's a lot of interesting things happening for you in terms of your career, and you're having to really balance your home and family dynamic. Now for some people, with the whole situation with working from home, you may be finding it hard to have a balance. You could be working from home and constantly be surrounded by your family, or you could be working a lot outside of the home and not be able to see your family. So there could be a bit of tension coming up there in either regard. You could be choosing around this full moon to spend more time at home, or to even lessen your work hours per se. But I feel like whatever you do for you in terms of your career is to your advantage. The Sun and Jupiter are conjunct in your career sector, which means that you're having a lot of abundance there, a lot of luck there, but it is coming into friction with your first house. I'm going to tell you about that. So Mars and Uranus being in your sector of self, Mars and Uranus are both in Taurus. And with two planets like that can be quite shocking and surprising. You could be surprising everybody. You could have quite a quick temper around this time. You could be having moments of hostility, or you could be wanting to express your disdain for some things. It's really saying with Uranus being there, you're having a bit of an awakening, Taurus, to some things. And if you're feeling like something's coming up and out of you and unexpectedly coming out of you and you don't like it, the awakening moment is to change it. So you could be experiencing some feelings of frustration, some feelings of anger in terms of your family and your career, even perhaps, and you're understanding, you know, these are alerting me to something. They're alerting me to something that's not working, or they're alerting me to an attitude or a belief that's not working. With Uranus being an awakener, it is shaking you up all the time. And so in terms of your family and in terms of your public image or your career, your title, for example, I feel like there could be a lot of understandings coming from you, but not necessarily from the most easy place. You know what I mean? The tension in the sky is felt. But for you, because there's so much happening in the fixed sign axis, the way I see this for you, Taurus, is to focus primarily on what you are building for yourself and what that is going to mean for other areas and how you can actually incorporate that. You know, some people have this idea that in order to be successful in your career, you have to spend less time with your family. But really, for a lot of people, they understand that it's to do with the effort you're putting into something, and also the balance is better for you in the long term. You know, having more time at home is better for people in their productivity, for example. Work smarter, not harder. So the attention that's coming up for you around this time, Taurus, perhaps looking at it through a lens of what can I do that's best for me, that's best for my family, and that's best for the bigger picture, will be less frustrating than feeling aggravated by what everybody else is doing. You know, we can only focus on ourselves, and we can only focus on what we're doing. And while this full moon and the sun are bringing up a lot of feelings and a lot of energies in terms of your public image and your family, it really does feel like, you know, with Mars being in your sign, you have the energy to tackle absolutely anything that you want to do. With Uranus being there, yeah, the results might feel very shaky, very transformative, very unpredictable, but that's kind of you. You know what I mean? I think you will feel a lot better the further Mars moves away from Uranus, because Uranus can be quite shocking, and you're really being asked here with all these fixed energies to just bend with the breeze and go with the changes. But as I said, with this full moon, it's exposing to all of us where our ego is setting traps for us, where it's keeping us disconnected. And a full moon in your family sector can really expose where ego and fear in particular, or, you know, because I think most negative emotions come from a fear. You know, even if somebody in your family, you know, shouts at you about dropping a dinner plate or something and you feel angry and upset, it can be maybe coming from a fear of just not wanting them to be mad at you. You know, a lot of the time that's fear of losing love or fear of anything like that. Sometimes the inner reasoning can be different than what we're anticipating. So for you with this full moon, it is a beautiful time to connect with your family, to understand some feelings. It's also a beautiful time to let go of the past, to let go of any lingering energies, and also to show gratitude to your ancestors for the gifts they've given you, and reconnect with your family and see that there is a common thread running there. Or maybe, you know, if you don't have immediate family or you're estranged or whatever, it's asking you to make peace with your own past and creating your own future in a lens that you like, you know, who you want to be. But also understanding that we all have roots. So feeling that grounding, feeling that connected, and feeling that in the moment energy will really help you around this full moon. But I do feel, because it's in your sector of the past, I feel a little bit like some of you might hear from somebody from the past as well, that you may have worked with, or a meal. 7th chakra, so this is your crown chakra. This is about being tapped into the energies and being tapped into your connection with the universe. So whenever I think of the 11th house, Taurus, I think of the fact that we had an extended stay of Mars being in your 12th house in Aries, which really would have been, oh, you've a lot going on upstairs. A lot of mental energy going on here. So again, I am seeing a connection with the past, the attachment, your attachment style. It could be that something in the past that you address around this full moon is holding you back, and you get the awareness in letting it go and understanding that it is holding you back and that it is a fear-based mentality. You feel more connected to the universe, and your manifestations and your intuition is heightened. Okay, so when there's a full moon in the 4th house, your intuition for sure can be heightened. It's very homebody, introverted energy. It is very introverted in a big way, but because it coincides with your 10th house of fame and acknowledgement, and that's connecting to Jupiter, people may really want you at work. People may really want to reward you for a job well done. And it could just be that this full moon shows you how proud your family actually are of you. So that is something to bear in mind, Taurus. Inner wisdom. You know what to do. Trust your inner wisdom and take appropriate action without delay. So this full moon in your 4th house is also alerting you to your intuition, to your divine feminine energy, to your understanding, your nurturing, your compassion, and most importantly, your intuitive knowing, feeling what is in alignment with you and what's not, and figuring out what to do with that from there. So that is what I have for you, Taurus, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Gemini, welcome to the full moon in Leo video for your sign. So this full moon is happening in your 3rd house. So for you, this is your home house. This is to do with your communication style, who you're communicating with, who you're listening to, and all things media. So for a lot of you, you might discover around this full moon that reading the news is having a really dampening effect on your vibration, or you may notice that certain communications don't work for you anymore. You could also be hearing news about a neighbor or a sibling, or you could just be really enjoying reading. With the Sun conjunct Jupiter aspect in your 9th house of philosophy, of higher education, this is a beautiful time to engage your beautiful mind, Gemini. You're so smart, you're so articulate, and sometimes it's lovely to just receive those energies rather than having to be the one always giving them out. You may find around this time that you have some kind of mentor You have some kind of spiritual leader or philosophical leader or a lecturer in particular who you admire, or a meal that you admire, someone that's really helping you find your voice. And the reason that I say that is because Mercury is your ruler. It's about to go retrograde and it's in shadow. And I often find the few days before in shadow can really feel like they might leave you a little bit tongue-tied or finding it very hard to find your own voice or explain yourself in certain things. And it's good to have a mentor in those occasions. And because the ninth house is your opposite house and it is to do with philosophy, it could be that somebody in your life can show you the bigger picture. Because where there's a lot of tension for you is internally. It's in your 12th house, Mars and Uranus. And Uranus is really wakening up that subconscious mind for you. And it's maybe awakening some emotions you'd just rather not deal with. It's maybe making you feel really tired when you feel like you're not doing very much, because Mars in the 12th can oftentimes be a wonderful time of healing, of subconscious healing, whether we know we're doing it or not. And so certain things may be unexpectedly coming up for you. Certain secrets might be coming up unexpectedly surrounding other people. And so you just don't know what to think or what to say, or you don't quite feel like you're processing things so well. And that's why it's good to have more information, and seemingly the right information might just fall in your lap at some point in order to see a bigger picture, particularly because it's connecting with Jupiter. There's a beautiful expansive energy in your ninth house, and yes, it's coming into friction, and yes, Jupiter is also opposing your communication sector, which is why sometimes it's nicer to receive the information, to receive the bigger picture rather than base everything on fact. But certainly with this full moon, facts could be coming to the table that you'd not anticipated. And Venus is also conjunct Pluto at this time, and that is in Capricorn. And Capricorn is your sector of, you know it by now because of last year, but it's your 8th house. So there could be a bit of jealousy coming up in relationships, or there could be some transformative resource. There could be a loan, or taxes could be coming back to you that you thought you'd spent. There could be good news surrounding money. When I see Venus and Pluto connect, I often think that it's intensity surrounding money. It's also intensity surrounding love. But Jupiter can really transform those areas. So if you feel like if things aren't working out so well for you in love, or they're not working out for you in money, this can be a real turning point for you. And it's also leading us that little bit further out of the Capricorn energy and into the Aquarius energy, because Venus will move into Aquarius a couple days later, which will feel very beneficial to you because it will be that expansive energy, that bigger picture in your love life, as it were, or in terms of your money. So I'm going to do some cards for you, Gemini, and see what we get, what this full moon might represent. Oh, transformation. Butterfly Maiden, you are experiencing enormous change right now, which brings great blessings, which is something you love to see. You love to know blessings are on the way, don't you? But I feel like the way that you're transforming is through your information, through your perspectives on life, and also the way that you receive information. And I do think keeping an open mind as much as possible will bring you more blessings at the moment, because Jupiter is aspecting the sun in your 9th house. There could actually be an amazing opportunity to travel coming up, which I don't know when, but you could be receiving news about it because of that. So with the sun conjunct Jupiter, there is also a feeling that the more that you learn in terms of philosophy or the laws of the universe or different perspectives, or the more that you engage with different cultures, for example, Gemini, the more you actually can manifest what it is that you want. Bear in mind, though, Neptune is squaring the true node in your sign, and you know, Neptune for you is your career, so you might not be 100% sure of your path just yet. And I also feel like with the storm warning card and the transformation, change doesn't always feel easy. It doesn't always feel graceful, but this is bringing you a blessing. Anything in your life that feels chaotic at the moment seems to be bringing you some kind of blessing, is what it's saying here, especially if that's in terms of love and money. I think, you know, your joint resources, like your intimate relationships and your resources with other people, and the attachment energy. So you may be feeling a little bit a little bit stuck in the past with Mars and Uranus there. They're really trying to clear up some emotional baggage for you as well as something that's going on. And it can feel quite chaotic. As I say, with Uranus, you know, things generally are chaotic, but they're also awakening. And it could be showing you that in your 12th house, you're not operating enough from a place of spirit and place of soul in your life, and it's asking you to do a little bit more of that. You know, what makes your soul happy. We also have the community card, the patience card, the goddess of the moon, and the anxiety card. So even if you don't feel like you have all the right words, connect with your friends, reach out to them, don't go it alone. Make sure that you are connecting with people, because I think with this energy, there's somebody in your friendship group that really misses you or wants to talk to you, and I feel like a good conversation with them will really set you right. That could actually be who your spiritual mentor is. Could be a Sagittarius. But that is all I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Cancer, and welcome to the full moon in Leo video for your sign. So this full moon is happening in your sector of money. It's also your sector of self-worth and your sector of value. So this is kind of the house we see confidence. So in all the ego blocks we've been talking through with the signs, this can be about trying to figure out how you really feel worthy for what it is that you want. And it may be that there is, you know, with the Aquarian energy being your intimate sector, maybe you don't feel worthy in a relationship, maybe you don't feel good enough for a committed relationship, maybe you don't feel good enough to earn a certain amount of money, or maybe you feel like money is a struggle. Your relationship with money and your relationship with self-worth is very highlighted at this time, and being a Cancer, you're very sensitive to the moon. So if you come into money, figure out what your relationship is with it. Do you just want to instantly spend it on yourself or on somebody else, or do you want to invest it in your future, or what is your relationship with money? It's a good time to evaluate that, because when we evaluate our relationship with money, we can hold on to it better. You know, it's one thing making money, but does it stick? Does it provide? Does it feel good to you? So this is a beautiful full moon to figure that out. Now, because of the tension with the Taurus energy in your 11th house, your manifestations, you have a lot of energy for your long-term goals, your aspirations. You have a lot of energy for your friendships. You have a lot of energy for those areas, and there's unexpected developments and awakenings happening there that are really shifting your focus. And so this shift in focus, maybe you have changed how you feel about certain friendships or certain causes or certain goals in your life, and now financially you're thinking, well, maybe I have some finances tied up in this, or maybe I should be investing in this instead. A lot of tension could come up surrounding your finances and your long-term plans, but there can also be amazing breakthroughs in those areas. There can also be an amazing plan you make up financially. There can also be an amazing amount of money that you come into. We're also seeing a lot of luck, I feel, in your romantic sector. So the Sun conjunct Jupiter is bringing a lot of abundance, possibly a bit of an ego struggle in your connected relationships. As well as that, we have Venus conjunct Pluto in your partnership sector, adding a lot of intensity to your relationships. Watch out for things like jealousy around this full moon, paranoia, or possessiveness. Make sure to have healthy boundaries in your relationships, you know, not be so overwhelmed with emotions that you've no control, for example. Venus conjunct Pluto can feel really very intense, but it can also be really very transformative for you. And Venus, being a beautiful planet as it is in terms of love and money, connecting to Pluto could present you transformation in a great way. You know, it could really transform your relationship with somebody else, but also your relationship with your business and your relationship with your money. So oftentimes with a full moon in your financial sector, you could unexpectedly come into money that you didn't foresee. And it's usually a good way, okay? So, but with the Sun conjunct Jupiter as well, I actually feel like a lot of Cancers could come into a lot of money, or at least a new opportunity to make more money could be on its way to you. But sometimes these manifestations are tied in with what we're feeling about those things, you know, how we do feel about those. When you change your relationship with money, for example, it's easier to see opportunities for it because you're more wired to, because you feel you can handle them. Whereas if you don't have a good relationship with money, you don't always see the opportunities. You wouldn't be thinking about them. You would just be thinking about where you are right now and holding on to it, for example. So there is a lot of information for you coming in around your financial situation, likelihood that you could come into some money, and there's also transformation in your relationship. So I want to draw you some cards. At the same time, all that energy, that Mars in your 11th house, I think you have so much energy towards your long-term goals, but remain flexible in case they change. Remain flexible in case you have an awakening and you want to shift in a different direction. Indecision. So you might be feeling a little bit indecisive about what it is that you want to do, or you might have a big decision to make. Make it based on value. What matters to you the most? What do you want to be true to? What is your number one priority at the moment, and which one of those decisions is more in alignment with that? That's an important thing to do, because you may be considering a contract at this time. If you're signing a contract, make sure to check it. Mercury is in shadow, and it's linked to other people's money for you, so make sure to be very, very careful. I think that's maybe the indecision about a contract, maybe a new job, maybe indecision about a new relationship. Making sure to check the details and really think it through, and again, leading with value. What matters most? Blossoming. You're just getting started, so have patience with yourself in the process and do not give up. So something is blossoming for you, Cancer, that's really beautiful, I think. And I also feel like it's showing a lot of growth for you. The 2nd and 8th houses, yes, they're to do with money, but they're also to do with confidence, growing up in a big way, I think, transition. The 8th house is very transformative, so you may notice around this time that you feel quite different. You've maybe had a bit of a death of the ego, especially with the Sun conjunct Jupiter. You're maybe letting go of things that have held you back, and I have to say this card has come up for absolutely everyone. It is Aphrodite. It's such a Leo energy too. I know that it's associated with Venus, but it's awakening the goddess within you through dance, self-care, and appreciating your divinity. So there's a big theme, Cancer, of just simply, with this Leo full moon, remaining a little bit more lighthearted than you maybe, there's a lot of tension, but try to be lighthearted, try to have fun, try to, see the possibilities, try to embrace the new you, seeing where you find value, and just enjoying yourself too. It's not all about making money. You don't want to be a slave to money and then die, which is what they say in Bittersweet Symphony anyway. And oftentimes the people that, liberate themselves from negative attitudes surrounding money and surrounding possessions and things, it is actually those people that can oftentimes make the most of it. Not needing it makes more of it, obviously. But also with this full moon in the 2nd house, you can declutter. You don't need all the possessions you have. You might feel like letting go of some items that you have. You might want to clear out your house a little bit more. You might want to sell some items on Vinted or something, get rid of some clutter. All of that's quite well aspected, Cancer. And that is all I have for you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.